Yeah, let me introduce Gigi Robinson. I've known her for 3 months already, and she is definitely a friend, I consider, and she's just dominating the influencer industry, and she's only 23 years old. Gigi is an NYC native and advocates for Gen Z chronic illness and mental health. She's definitely a thought leader in the creator economy and just really focuses on those authentic partnerships. That authenticity was talked about a lot today. Gigi is known for her podcast on Spotify called Everything You Need Is Within, and has been featured in 60 plus podcasts, which is mind blowing to me. So she's definitely not shy and has done a lot with speaking engagements and podcasts. She's also pursuing a Master of Science in Innovation Design, Business, and Technology from USC. And she's created content for really big companies, including Spotify, Best Buy, Instagram. In addition, she has also been a guest speaker at universities, including USC, UCLA, and many more, and has also done lots of speaking engagements with Yahoo, Meta, and her campus. And last but not least, she is a Sports Illustrated Swim Search finalist for 2022, which is absolutely huge. Congratulations, Gigi. And that was a long intro, but you are just killing it, and you're only 23, which is amazing.
Yeah, that was definitely a long intro. So thanks for including most of it. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm really excited to be here. And yes, Chris, Taylor's awesome. You guys are really lucky to have her, and excited to meet her in New York next week.
Yes, we'll finally get to meet each other in person. And like Chris mentioned, so this is going to be a little bit different than all the conversations that have already been had today. So this is an influencer perspective versus a brand and agency perspective. So we're really going to touch on how brands can work with influencers for e-commerce and live shopping activations, and more specifically, how brands can really engage and convert the Gen Z audience. Staying authentic, I think authenticity is huge for that Gen Z audience. And let's dive in. Again, this is a Q&A, so feel free to ask questions. I will ask Gigi your questions throughout this entire meeting. So let's start. A fun kickoff, Gigi. How would you describe yourself in 3 words before we get into the grueling questions here?
Yeah, I would say passionate, thoughtful, and giving.
I definitely see all 3, just knowing you for those 3 months. And then what social media platforms do you recommend brands utilize, influencers, content creators, to prove the highest return on investment for those like lower to mid funnel activations?
Yeah, well, to state the obvious, I'm going to go with TikTok first, probably because it is just the talk of the town. And on top of that, I will also stick with our tried and true influencer marketing platform of Instagram, Facebook, Meta, with, you can now do short form video there as well. And also OG Facebook ads kind of do still perform. For the Gen Z audience, probably not as much, but I think this conversation can also be applied to the millennial audiences and for other kinds of influencers as well.
I couldn't agree more. And I know a lot of our guests already from TikTok touched on this, and Meta, kind of creative strategy is important when it comes to live stream. But before we kind of dive into live stream shopping, I really want to focus on just how brands work with influencers for just a creative strategy in general for social media content. So how do you work with brands to just develop a creative strategy for, like you said, just a TikTok video or a in-feed video ad?
Yeah, I think there are a number of ways that creators and brands can go about this. A lot of the time, I'm sure, as it was spoken about today, brands or platforms will come to creators with ideas in mind, or a product they're promoting, or a campaign awareness deck. So kind of giving the creator nods to what the content could be. I personally do not do collaborations where they're oh, take it into your own creativity, at least anymore, because if you do that, sometimes they can be like, well, we don't like that, make another one. And then they'll end up posting more than one of your pieces of content, even though they're only paying you for one. And they kind of did it to be sneaky. So unfortunately, that does really happen, especially when you're smaller as a creator and you maybe don't have representation, don't have a team to back you up. And that's something I would look out for. So brands, be nice to creators, don't take advantage of us, and provide us with a brief. And then also be willing to, have either a meeting or some kind of scripting document where it's like passed back and forth between teams and approved to go shoot the content before you actually do it. And a lot of the time I will just send all of that to my manager and she will send it out to the brands at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was at TikTok, we were always struggling with what is too much direction and what is not enough direction, because usually you get 1 to 2 revisions. But I love how you're fighting for the influencers, and we have lots of brand and agency direct people on this call. So please, and ask away, guys. Like, ask questions to Gigi to get the influencer perspective for this. And then Gigi, how do you think live shopping is obviously new, right? So what does that look like in regards to like helping brands with that creative strategy? Do you think brands should also be kind of leading that live shopping content strategy, or is it important for them to like ask the influencer's opinion on that?
I think it can depend on the influencer. However, I am just going to go and use myself as a case study. I have a lot of speaking and live hosting experience. I haven't fully done a live shopping event myself. However, I have done live collaborations with brands that are more around awareness around a campaign, or it's a conversation that's more casual to get people to realize, oh, wow, like I could do a face mask on a live with a huge singer, and we can talk about mental health online, and maybe somebody's gonna come and buy the product, maybe they're not, we're not really sure. And I think really what these live shopping events are all about, aside from driving the, I guess, ROI in the partnership, and aside from driving the sales, really is that awareness and making sure that the consumer knows that you're not necessarily just trying to get them to buy. They're getting somebody real, like a real influencer, to have a real conversation that's authentic, that's usually unscripted, and that's really genuine. And that is probably the number one thing that Gen Z looks for. On the flip side, I will say Gen Z does, and most people have a very short attention span. So I think with a lot of these live events, people will come in for like 3-4 minutes and then they'll leave. Maybe they'll go and buy something, maybe they won't. But I think that's why also these live events can be so successful, because they're so long. And if the brand has a huge following, or if the creator has a huge following, a lot of times that can draw different people in from different areas of the world at different times, different time zones, and therefore lead to more sales ultimately.
I love that. I was going to say also, when I was at TikTok, my colleague had Abercrombie and Hollister as their accounts, and those are like the golden children.
I'm jealous. I love it.
I don't know if these still are the golden children, or if another brand has replaced them, but they're killing it in the retail innovation space. And they did a live shopping event that was actually, I'm pretty sure it was pre-recorded, but not 100%. So I shouldn't say that. And they did it with the D'Amelio sisters, and had those 2 girls on, and a lot of other amazing creators that had a huge following. And they actually pushed that live shopping event through Charlie's handle, because she overall had the most followers, right?
Right.
So it definitely, I think creators are huge for live shopping. And creator content performs 2 times better than branded content. So I think you have to have the right creator, and they can ultimately drive conversions for brands in today's society.
Yeah.
And then a personal question here. So do you prefer online shopping or in-store? I'm curious.
This is a fantastic question, because I go back and forth. I would say I lean more towards online because of accessibility, especially over the past 2 years. However, obviously there's a lot of issues with sizing and return fees and so on and so forth, which can be really, really frustrating. So I go back and forth, but most of the time I will order something and return it in person.
Yeah, I would say online for me, I feel like I'm just discovering so many cool brands, especially overseas in Europe, where I wouldn't have never known about them or heard about them if I was in Chicago, right? Um, and have you watched a live shopping activation? I'm sure you have, but if so, what were those main takeaways from that live shopping experience? You don't have to like call out a brand, but what did they do right? And maybe what could they have fixed?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple that I did tune into. I believe Smashbox did one last summer that I tuned into, and it was actually not as much a live shopping event, but it was a master class. And it was kind of like you can go and purchase the products that the person doing the master class that they were streaming on TikTok was using. And I thought that that was really brilliant because, again, it wasn't that direct call out of like, here is how you should shop this and why you should shop it now. It's like, here's how you create this incredible makeup look. Oh, and by the way, all the products are available at Smashbox. So it gives each individual that autonomy over what to buy within a collection rather than like direct items that, you know, some celebrities being like, go buy through my link. I know sometimes makeup brands, most popularly, will do these events. I also know Instagram did their Instagram shop live events. And I believe this woman, I forget her full name, but her first name's Sean. She's like an Olympian. And she just, I thought it was really cool because they had like these crazy cool sets that were built and they were promoting certain brands, different things like that. And I just thought it was, again, really brilliant that they built something and they did go in and put the time in to make it look really cool. And I think ultimately we live in this world where we can do anything remotely, but the thing that stood out to me for both the Smashbox one and the Instagram shop live was that they had these sets built and it was clearly intended to stream in. And as somebody who loves creativity and creative art sets, I was a total sucker just to like look at behind the scenes of what was happening and watching the shop live page as they were posting in feed as well, like, hey, you can go buy this from, you know, the event that we talked about, so on and so forth. So I would say put effort and really have intention behind it. Don't just partner with somebody to partner with them because you want to drive sales. Partner with the creator with a direct intention to pull off a really cool marketing campaign that's going to reach a lot of people.
I was going to say it's so new and everybody wants to get started, but they're scared to get started. But you have to have the right partnerships in place. You have to test and learn, like everyone has said on this call today as well, before you just go live right away and hope for the best. So I love your response on that last question, Gigi. And again, you know, it is new and it is scary for most brands. I mean, even last year, it was really hard to get some brands on TikTok and to get them to post weekly. So I understand like where brands are coming from. It is a scary new world. But how can brands, you know, kind of like navigate the live shopping experience? Specifically when it comes to Gen Z, because Gen Z is like, they hold all the buying power. That is like the generation that holds all the cards, are coming up with the trends. So how can brands or agencies really really work with influencers to target them?
Yeah, absolutely incredible question. Also, I think, you know, Gen Z, back to what I just said, really wants to see authenticity. They don't only want to see the celebrity creators, they want to see a creator that maybe they see some of themselves in that is maybe more micro, more nano. And I think there is beauty in shopping with those people and doing these events with those kinds of people. And maybe honestly, if you're doing a live shopping event on TikTok, maybe do it a bundle of a package and pay the creator to do half an hour on TikTok of live shopping and a half an hour on Instagram of live shopping. And then also give them a TikTok to or an Instagram in feed post that drives it to it. I think when you're just starting out, you might as well test. Like it is the wild, wild west. If you have the budget to spend on live, yes, put it in with like those big creators that already show that they drive those sales. But aside from that, be willing to kind of work with smaller creators and pay them well for their time and make it something that they can hype up maybe the week before, they can add to their resume, really making it that cool partnership. Because you know what? Once one creator does that, they're going to tell their creator friends. They're going to recommend their creator friends. Then those creator friends are going to potentially get a job, so on and so forth. It kind of is like a ripple effect of helping each other out in the game on the creator side of things when a brand wants to work with you. And for the brand, you're going to reach all of these different audiences. You're not only going to reach, again, let's say with me, I'm almost 24, with a college audience, and I talk about mental health, but one of my friends who's an influencer talks about dating. Another one of my friends talks about food, right? So having those different kinds of audiences, but similar age groups, I think is really, really important. And again, it's about niching down, but also having that intention.
That's huge. And it's kind of crazy because live shopping, it seems new, right? But my parents were like, "Oh, what are you doing on Thursday?" Like I was like, "Oh, I'm speaking at a live shopping summit." They're like, "What is live shopping?" They're like, "Oh, is it like QVC and like the home shopping channel back in the 1970s?" I mean, very kind of. It's just on social media and websites, right? It's kind of that the same concept, and it is cool because you can reach a total new audience and a bigger audience, which we're going to dive into here. We do have some questions coming in that I'm going to ask you very shortly here as well, Gigi, from the audience. But how can brands match the quality of, we kind of talked about in-store shopping and online shopping, what you like the best. A lot of people do like in-store shopping the best. It's like a better experience. I feel like the older generations, I shouldn't say all the older generations like in-store shopping. I do like in-store shopping once in a while. I feel like it depends on the product or what I'm looking for. But how can brands match the quality of an in-house shopping experience to an online shopping experience, maybe for the older demographic, so not Gen Z?
Yeah, I think also aside from Gen Z being so adamant about having that authenticity, I believe also millennials really are interested in that too. They're interested in seeing real content, right? So if you are doing an in-person live shopping event, that's going to be where you're networking, you're talking to people, maybe there's a panel in-house about something interesting. Do the exact same thing, right? Make it, maybe you can do all these Hallmark holidays that a lot of brands like to participate in, or different kind of themes around each month. So for Mental Health Awareness Month, maybe you're partnered with a skincare influencer and you're also a skincare brand and you want to promote self-care and how that helps your mental health. So you host a live shopping event about your skincare routine products, and the conversation is not just about the skincare. It's about how doing a skincare routine really helps your mental health, and hearing that not only from a specific influencer who's niche down in whatever I guess topic you want to talk about is, but also how they apply that product to their life and how their life's been changed by it, and how maybe it's also kind of non-specific, right? It can be like, this is how skincare has helped me, and it's not, this is how X brand has helped me, right? Giving the buyer that decision to really be like, oh, I want to go ahead and try what that influencer said, right? Because I feel like nobody in today's world wants to be shoved with ads or really geared in a direction of buying something. So you kind of subconsciously want to trick them by making them think that they're making the decision based on really the ethos of the conversation that you end up having online with the creator.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like now the consumer is very smart. So they're like, we know when we're being sold to, but also if you attend a live shopping event or, social stream, I was like, we lost Gigi, now you're back. You're going to be kind of, products are going to go in front of you at least some point in that stream. But we have a question from Crystal, and you kind of touched on this, Gigi. What are some good ways for brands to advocate for mental health through their social posts, lives, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, just like what I said, I think working with talent specifically that is in that niche is the easiest way to go. The next way to go is by trying to dig deeper with other kinds of talent and asking, hi, we're hosting a mental health awareness campaign. We, saw that you like, let's say it's coffee, right? We saw you like coffee. And we wanted to know if you would be potentially interested in partnering with us. We have some ideas which really relate to, creating a routine around grabbing a coffee and maybe focusing on journaling in the morning and setting an intention for the day and having that help your mental health. Would you be interested in kind of using your own voice and curating, some assets for us that fall under that? So that was, again, a very simple example, but the creator who does that might not necessarily be involved. The next thing I would say is try, if you can, to have a give back initiative or a nonprofit partner that focuses with mental health, and partner with them. See if there's a way that you can do what I just said and grab creators that are either in that niche or outside of that niche, but maybe have a passion or have talked about mental health very briefly in their work. I think really that's important. And also including mental health in the conversations, maybe without creators, just from a brand's perspective of maybe you have a TikTok in-house person who's making social content for you that is short form video, and maybe they're talking about routines. You don't necessarily have to partner with a creator. Maybe you talk about your commitment to your internal HR department and the way that your company's actually run and how you care about your company and your employees and their mental health. And maybe you highlight those employees in an Instagram post, in a LinkedIn post. Let's not forget about LinkedIn here, because LinkedIn's really important. I had to slip that in there. So I think anything that you can do to highlight the way that your company operates and how your people feel about it is extremely important, as well as how your product helps people and consumers.
Well, that was a great answer. And Crystal says, love this. Thank you. She's like, you did a great job answering. And this makes sense why we have you on, because I feel like it's so important to get an influencer's perspective, because you guys ultimately help brands, or even like TikTok and Meta, create content. You help them come up with these awesome ideas, which is huge. We have another question. We're just going to keep going through the audience right now from Juan. We're going to talk about income with creators, which I know is a touchy subject sometimes, but sure. I know you love to call on this. So do you foresee the income of creators doing live shopping more towards a payment based on the time they do a live stream, or more towards a commission on the products that the creators sell on the live stream?
Definitely an interesting subject. I personally would go more towards being or honoring the creator and their rate for something like that. If you were to have a content creator come and moderate a panel for your brand at an in-person event, would you pay them based on the number of attendees that came, or would you pay them based on being a speaker at your event? Probably being a speaker at your event. So that is how I would look at live. Just because it's digital doesn't mean that there's less effort in from the creator. That doesn't mean that the creator is not preparing themselves to answer these kinds of questions, to deliver certain kinds of information, to engage with anyone in their audience. What if there's somebody in their audience that maybe they don't want to talk to, or maybe this is an opportunity for the audience to have that access, right? Like, that's a pretty big deal for an influencer to kind of give up a certain amount of time for a brand to engage with literally anybody who comes into that circle. So I would definitely gear towards that. And I would also say that I think that this is moving into a realm where it's not just about a live shopping event. It's about a live shopping event partnered and coupled up with a bundle of other content that proves that the influencer is the perfect person for that, because they organically use it, because they maybe have a paid partnership before. You kind of have to like breadcrumb, I think, the influencer into your strategy, especially if you're planning a huge live shopping event. And I mean, I think creators also, like myself, don't do affiliate marketing. I don't find it worthwhile because you're paid pennies for it, to be honest with you. Yes, some of the largest creators may drive a lot of sales and end up with a huge number at the end of the day, but most smaller creators are only going to make a couple dollars probably off of commission. And I think it's quite rude, honestly, for brands to offer commission-based initiatives for creators as their only kind of payment. If anything, it should be the bonus.
I love that. Well, thanks for doing this for free. I'm happy you're my friend. But that's a great, you answer that great again. I used to do affiliate and influencer partnerships at a company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it was crazy how, like you said, the bigger affiliates can make, the mommy bloggers in like Austin, Texas, they can make like 100,000, even like a month. It's like, it's crazy, these payouts, where the smaller, like you said, it's not worth their time to write a blog post and do all the social media content for that as well. So let's talk about live shopping as it's supposed to be live, right? That's not necessarily true. A lot of brands are pre-recording their live streams, which is fine. I know a lot of people were like, you need to test before you play on the live stream set. What is your opinion on like pre-recording? Because it is supposed to be live and authentic, and a lot of brands are pre-recording. So curious, your thoughts.
Yeah, I've participated in live panels that have been like this, where you record beforehand and then it comes up and people are asking questions, but then it's streaming later and it's kind of all over the place. And it's like, oh yeah, there's like this pre-recorded video that I did 2 months ago and it's just going live now. And I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot about that. And I mean, do a lot of I think the consumers of the lives kind of can tell now, and they're definitely less inclined to watch because, like I just mentioned before, they're not given that same amount of access to the creator. So I think, instead of marketing it as a live shopping summit, you should call it a digital shopping summit. Something like that, where it doesn't allude to the creator actually being there, having, this ability to connect with their followers and the people that actually are a part of their tribe, really. Because otherwise, again, it's kind of like you're broadcasting something as it just happened, and then it doesn't actually happen. So I think for sure changing the jargon maybe with it, and the opinion on pre-recording, I think it's totally fine as long as you market it as something else. Maybe you also put that as a resource somewhere and it goes up on a website. Maybe there's more social assets used with it versus the live. I believe that a live shopping summit kind of means you're there in the moment, you're having a conversation. It's like a live event that's a panel. And then once it's done, it's done. And there's not necessarily evidence of it, but like it's closed down. It's not really saved to a page. And if it is saved to a page, like it has the exact timestamps and whatnot on it.
Yeah, there are brands that do it pretty well with pre-recording that I'm not going to call anyone out, but when I was at TikTok where it was pre-recorded, but then obviously they had the creators or someone monitoring the comments.
Yeah.
But you can tell, if the audience or the consumers on TikTok writing a comment like, hey, hold this up, or can you do it this way? Like they can't, because it's pre-recorded. So I feel like that's where the consumers like catch on if it's not interactive, within that video.
And another thing I think is really cool, which we just saw happen, was the live broadcast from TikTok at like Coachella with Remy Bader, which was really cool. They also had Bruno and Anna do the Vanity Fair Oscars party on the blue carpet, I guess. And I thought that was really cool. And I'm pretty sure that was live. And you could see kind of the awkwardness happen of these stars walking behind these, TikTok star, like the celebrity stars walk behind the TikTok stars, and the TikTok stars are kind of like live reacting. And that's like really funny. And although they weren't necessarily promoting anything specific, I think more people will be inclined to now follow Vanity Fair because they truly believe that they have access to those creators there and then in that moment. And I think that is the key with live shopping.
I love that, Gigi. You're the best. So let's say we are live streaming, right? Like we are full on live streaming. We are not pre-recording. We've done like a test and learn a few times in practice, but as everything is live, or like we're live now and we kind of lost you for a second, right? You never really know what's going to happen at the end of the day. So let's just say like our live stream is like we shut down, we're gone, and then we hop back up. Like, what protocols like can brands have in place for like a live shopping disaster, whether it's like brand direct or like it's the influencer, or like something just goes terribly wrong?
This actually did happen to me when I had a partnership with Julia Michaels and Philosophy Skincare, and my phone just overheated and completely shut off. I had to log into my Instagram account on my brother's phone and use his phone. So if you have access on either side to have two phones, I think that is super important. I also think that, technical difficulties happen, and kind of just shrugging your shoulders and not putting that pressure on to be like, we have to be freaking perfect, right? Like we make mistakes, and I totally get that. And I think we have to give ourselves some grace with that, because we live in a world now, I think, we're 2 years into the pandemic where people are kind of used to this normal, technology like situation where there can be issues, and there can be Instagram crashing, there can be Instagram not saving the live, there could be the phone overheating, so on and so forth. So just kind of going with it, but knowing two phones, always, if you can. I know some people record, or some brands record the copy of the video from a desktop on screen record. So that is like uber extra, I guess, precautionary to having the extra clip. But, do I have all the answers? No. I was a victim of my phone crashing on me during a big collaboration event. And at the end of the day, everyone knew what to do in the end. Was like, if it crashes, we just start a new live. Like, that's what has to happen.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't done any live shopping myself as of lately, but even like your computer updates, you have to make sure you check these things before the big day, right? And kind of switching, we only have a few minutes here left. Let's talk about AR technology.
Oh yeah.
So that's also like coming to the forefront on social platforms. Like my favorite from TikTok was Crocs, like the hashtag Get Crocked. They had an AR shoe virtual try on, like dogs are trying on the shoes, babies are trying it on. They had like a custom song with Curtis Roach, a hashtag challenge. They went full out and it performed amazing. And I'm pretty sure people are still posting videos with that shoe. But what brands have you seen? Like what's one example where a brand has used like AR technology? It could be on any platform. It could be on TikTok, Instagram, Snap. What are they doing right? Do you have any favorites?
I probably would have to look into this a little bit more. I know at the very least with, a lot of these metaverse technologies coming out with Web3 projects that brands are leaning in. I'm in the Discord for like Gucci. I'm in the Discord for Adidas. And I think that, is a lot of interesting stuff happening in there yet? In my opinion, no. However, I think something you should be conscious of when people do have this AR experience is being mindful that the way that you design something digitally might not actually fit somebody the same way in real person, aka if you're designing it with kind of this Eurocentric fit model viewpoint, you're kind of excluding a lot of different body types, a lot of different kinds of people. So how smart is the technology going to be in terms of, let's say, does a bikini that is made for, again, somebody in a size 00, maybe it's 5'10", the fit model of the 2000s, I would say, is that kind of swimsuit going to work with an AR filter on somebody maybe who sits in a wheelchair or somebody who's plus size? I don't have the answers to that yet. I think only time will tell. And as technology gets smarter, hopefully we have more customization, smarter process with building out these AR filters. On the flip side, I also believe that a lot of beauty brands now have this try on feature. I think Chanel might have one that you do in store, and you can actually see what the lipstick looks like on. Is it actually super, super accurate? I don't really know. And I think we're just, again, gonna have to wait and see and test it out, and maybe have a funny influencer campaign where an influencer goes around and they go to Sephora and they're like, okay, here's what the AR filter decided would look good on me. Here's what it said I would look like. Here's me putting it on. Does it actually look like that? Right? Like, I think something like that could be successful as brands try to integrate AR, VR, and Web3 technologies into live shopping that converts to in real life experiences. Because at the end of the day, we're aiming towards a world where whatever we do online translates to an in real life experience. And I think that is left out a lot of the time because we think it ends with digital virtual, but no, it goes further.
I was going to say, you should start that trend.
I'll do it.
And start it on TikTok. I don't know what the hashtag would be for that trend. But I also think that's a good call out in regards to even live shopping. So having like not just one or two models, but having like a diverse set of models, like showing the clothes in person as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Could not agree more.
And is there any other advice before we wrap up here that you would like to give the brands and agencies that are on this call, whether it relates to authenticity or mental health or Gen Z?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to answer any questions for anybody at any time. Shoot me a LinkedIn message. I'm very active over there. Definitely, if you're interested in having me as a speaker, please hit me up. I would love to, and definitely pay me, please. I always appreciate a paid brand deal. And in terms of live shopping, I would just, remember that it's not necessarily about that digital experience. It's about what the product's going to bring the consumer in 3D, I guess, in the real world. And also just remember to really handpick those influencers. Don't necessarily just use an influencer because they're big or because they have a huge following or engagement rate. Use the influencer that genuinely aligns with and loves your product, and pay them. And that's what I have to say about that. Thank you.
Chris, any thoughts?
Well, Taylor, you were right. Gigi is awesome.
Yeah, super intelligent.
Thank you.
Also, I must say, as I'm actually a Zennial, which is like Gen Z and millennial combo. QVC HSN was like the 80s. I like grew up on that, so I'm not that old.
I love that.
70s. But yeah, obviously the reason we are here today is because the world is changing in an extremely fast fashion. Live shopping is an exciting nascent topic. We had a ton of great speakers today and learned a lot. And Gigi, you were a great addition and a great close to an awesome day. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you're not already in our system at Influential, Taylor, please make sure that we connect her with Memo and make that happen, because we will definitely bring you deals and we always pay.
Yes, that's exactly what we want to hear. And also, again, as a closer for all brands, like if you can always give the creator the rate that they're asking for, that's fair, that's industry trade, I think that's important. And also just advocating for your creators internally in the company and knowing like, this is something that we're investing in. We're investing in this creator because we believe that their audience truly will come back. I get it. Yes, it is about the ROI at the end of the day. However, it's also important to remember that you don't get ROI without UGC, and you really need that as a part of your strategy. So yeah, and that's what Gen Z knows best. So again, thank you for having me. This was amazing. Taylor's amazing. And Chris, it was so nice to meet you.
Well, preach. I appreciate that. Final closing message. Share with everybody all of your social handles so everyone can go follow you.
Yes, you can find me at the @ symbol, the word it's, and then Gigi Robinson anywhere. So it's Gigi Robinson on all social platforms. And you can go to my website, gigirobinson.com, or just Google my name, quite frankly.
That is
Like, I'm
pretty
not
easy these
famous.
days.
Yeah, Gigi, I applied to LinkedIn creators and they have not accepted me yet. So I'm not on your level. I
One
might
one
need
day.
some help with that after this call. Well, thank you,
Awesome.
everyone. It was nice to
Thank you guys so
everyone.
much. This was wonderful.